Hello, and welcome to Toddy Talk. Today is August 3rd, and we are reacting to the Newcastle-Tottenham draw 1-1 in Hong Kong. First of all, the offense looked okay. Brennan Johnson was able to get a goal early on off a deflection. There was a great Matthias Tell breakaway that had sort of a rough ending, but also Pope is a high-quality goalkeeper. Overall, this was Son's last game, so obviously that was a big part of the game, and a lot of focus was on him, and I felt that when the ball, came to him or whenever we were attacking, obviously the players wanted to set him up. So offensively, we have to take today with a little bit of a grain of salt, but I think it also showed that, especially this happened with Kane, when we had seasons where it felt, oh, well, this could be his last season. It felt like those sorts of moments happened a lot. So the fact that Son is moving on and Tottenham can really just focus on being a great, solid unit is a great thing. I will say when Son was subbed off, the Newcastle players, the Tottenham players on the field made a big deal about, giving him hugs and setting him off, and then also the game was delayed for probably about a minute, as on the side he was also greeted by all the Tottenham players. So it was a really great moment, and I think we can't lose sentimentality, so it was great that he was honored. But again, I think the team is doing a great thing and moving forward and moving on from a time that was great and fantastic, and he is the last one from that team that went to the Champions League final, which again, when we actually remember that final and how it went down, and then the final with actually Ryan Mason, but with Mourinho, also where in both games I connect them because Kane was hurt, but he was played because you had to, and you just left, you put in a good effort, but you lost by narrow margins to a better team. So although Son is sort of the end of that era, I think that that's overall a positive thing. And I think Newcastle today was a good test. I'm glad that we're playing Bayern. We're going to talk about that in a little bit on Thursday. Today's Sunday. But to start with Newcastle is what I was talking about yesterday, though. That's that team that's right where you're at, I think. These teams are very comparable. You look at someone like Jacob Murphy, and that's kind of the low-cost, high-reward type of player that I think, unfortunately, clubs like Spurs and Newcastle, I guess Newcastle's a little bit different with some of their investing, but Spurs are going to go for value. So when you look at a team like Newcastle, you stack up against them. That's sort of where we're at. We're not those big four that I mentioned yesterday: City, Arsenal, Chelsea, and Liverpool. Overall, felt the game was, again, good game, minus the Son focus. There were times, especially in the first half, where it felt that Newcastle had possession and Tottenham could not effectively get the ball, control it, and move. The one bright spot I think was Archie Gray, who obviously last year spent a lot of time playing a defensive role because of all the injuries. But he looked really great in the midfield. It was mentioned by the commentators, but in general, it was just a really positive thing, which moves us towards probably the biggest news from the game, which is James Maddison went down with what seems like a non-contact injury, and it's now been said that it's something with the knee. So James Maddison's cooked. I hate to say it. It's a sad thing. It's going to be the rest of the focus mostly of this episode is the midfield, because I think as I was thinking about coming on during the game before Maddison was hurt, I thought this was a good conversation with Paulinho coming in, Archie Gray showing himself what could that midfield look like. But now we have Maddison, who, again, I would be shocked if he'll be back within the next 6 months. So, maybe is there a chance that there could be an end of the season appearance? Would that be great? That would be fantastic. But I'm thinking 6 to 8 months minimum. And I'm thinking we might not even see him this year, unfortunately. So the Tottenham midfield. Right now, if we just say, who's there for sure, right? We have Rodrigo Bentancur, and I have him marked as a defensive midfielder. I mean, yes, he does do some nice passing to help us sort of transition, but He does not like to shoot, and he really, I think, sticks to his defensive role. We got Pep Matej, who I talked about yesterday, who I would say is offensive and defensive. He got his shot on goal today, so again, I think he has that mindset. Now, Kulishevsky is still recovering from off-season surgery, but he is, obviously an offensive option. We have Archie Gray, who obviously played a lot of great defense last year, but we saw today that he has the offensive ability. And then Paulinho, who's going to be coming in, who just cleared his medicals, so that should be, I don't think he'll probably play Thursday against Bayern Munich, but maybe he'll get subbed on. But who knows? There's a chance we could see him against PSG on Wednesday the 13th, so we'll have to see. And then Alfie Devine. Now, I don't have a check next to him on my list just because, maybe we'll have to see some of him. Oh, and Bergvall, of course. Of course, Bergvall as well, Lucas Bergvall. So, when we think about that Tottenham midfield and Maddison being out, I think the question is sort of like, who's going to fill that role? And Archie Gray or Lucas Bergvall? And I have to say, from what I saw today, I think I would really like to see Gray get that opportunity. He just played real well. I felt at times that Kudus was on the bench today, so it felt to me like Gray with the best lineup definitely could have an impact, where Lucas Bergvall, I like him a lot. I think he's really solid, but I just think Archie Gray has really, last year, him stepping up and playing defense like he did and being willing to do that, I think he's earned that spot, and we will see. So, that, again, Bentancur, easy. That's your defensive guy. I think once Paulinho gets here, he'll kind of get to fill that role too. I guess the question mark would also be Basuma. He was rumored to be someone that Tottenham was targeting on moving. I'm curious now with Maddison injured. Obviously they're not like for like necessarily in the midfield, but perhaps they'll want to hold on to the body. Again, the problem with Basuma is he's electric, which is not a problem, except he can lose control. And obviously he had a couple of red cards last year, and he also had an incredible goal that I'm sure anyone who watched Spurs last year would have it in their mind. I forget who it was against, but I'm worried that Basuma and Richarlison are similar in just players that, there were a lot of good players on those teams, Brighton and Everton, that kind of got picked, and you might have just picked the wrong ones. But I'll be interested to see what they do with Basuma, and if they'll change from trying to move him, and if he has the potential to be good at Tottenham and to be a good Tottenham player. He's not like Richarlison, who it's like, oh my gosh, get this guy out of my face. Basuma, it's more like, dude, come on, you can be so good. What's going on? So I'm hoping that he can, if he is given this opportunity, can turn things around. So our next game is against Bayern on Thursday. So I think Thomas Frank has really kind of interesting week set in front of him. So obviously today's Sunday the 3rd. This Thursday, we'll be playing Bayern Munich. A week from then, the following Wednesday, is PSG in the Super Cup. And then that Saturday, August 16th, will be Burnley, and that's the first game of the Premier League. So you have to imagine with this Bayern friendly that I would think both teams are going to be, at least for the first half, putting out their starting lineups. I would think. Again, this Newcastle game was Son's last game. That was the whole thing. So even if Son is with the club for Thursday, I think Thomas Frank, and this is where I give him a lot of credit, he did the right thing by Son and for the history of the club, and I bet in his press conference, you'll kind of see that. And then I think we'll turn the page on Thursday and it will be okay. This is the future now. So we'll see Kudus in the lineup. And again, I hope we see Archie Gray out there. I'd like to see Archie Gray and Kudus have a chance to do some stuff again with Pep Sar in there and Bentancur. That's just a nice. I like it. That sounds good. I think if Bayern goes well in that first half, that will be the lineup that we see going against PSG. Again, we'll see how much Paulinho can get involved. He does have time this week to maybe break into, again, a Bayern sub role, I would think. I'd be surprised if he started. But if he might have enough time, depending on when he gets with the team. And then again, after the Super Cup, moving into Burnley, and just as a preview ahead, Tottenham's first 3 games are Burnley, Man City, Bournemouth. So you have to think that Tottenham could get those first 2 wins against Burnley and hopefully against Bournemouth. No offense, they had a great season last year, but they lost Kirkez. I haven't paid attention too much to their moves, but I assume that team. I know they signed Semenyo, who, how can you not love that guy? But again, that's one that you'd like to see the Spurs come away with a win. And then can you draw against City? Can you draw against City or do something great? But again, really, most importantly, not lose. Because that's going to be, I think, the key. And Thomas Frank's formula for success in the league is going to be finding a way to not lose the games that maybe you think they should, and then obviously win games that, like Burnley to start the season. Obviously, it's got to be an easy win. So we'll definitely have a preview of the Bayern game this Thursday. And again, let's just take a moment and honor Son. It's been a great 10 plus years with Kane and Dele Alli and Trippier, Danny Rose, Vertonghen, Alderweireld. All those players were so great. Those were the teams that I fell in love with that when I was first introduced to Tottenham. So definitely the end of an era. But you look at this team and you look at what we have going forward, and I think there's a lot of reason to feel not only positive, but to feel like we have a lot of personalities that are a lot of fun to see and that you want to be successful. And I, again, will give credit to Ange Postecoglou over the last 2 years. I think when you look at the end of Conte and just how negative things were at Spurs, unfortunately, because again, that seemed like that could be a good thing. But maybe that was flowered glasses or whatever, seeing the world through rose-colored glasses. But I think that the Postecoglou success in the Europa League, and listen, I understand the league was tough. I was there, trust me. But over those last 2 years, there was a wave of positivity, as opposed to Conte, who just was like, I hate everyone and it's all the players and this place just sucks. That was rough. That was rough because it did feel like it was the roster. I think now when you look at the focus with Thomas Frank, and again, what Postecoglou achieved and what the Spurs team achieved is like pure likability. That team last year, even if you had to like them. They were a fun team, and now we're a fun team that has a level of seriousness. So I think it's a really great thing. So feel free to sound off on it. Love to hear your comments and respond to anything that you think. And sorry to James Maddison. It's a tough break. I love that guy. Whenever I play FIFA with Spurs on seasons, which is just how it has to be all the time, Maddison's usually my guy, so I'm just gutted for that. But hopefully we'll move forward, and we'll see you on Toddy Talk before Thursday with Bayern. Have a great day.